Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and of course, continuing on reviewing the Marvel films. Now, we finally come up to this one particular Marvel film centering on Spider-Man, yes. And yeah, I've been looking forward to doing this one, and seeing as how it's probably one of the, if not one of the top best Spider-Man films. I mean, not just with anything Spider-Man, from live action and animation, of course, most notably, the Spider-Verse animated films. But yeah, point being, that's right, guys. I am finally reviewing the third installment of, the MCU's Spider-Man No Way Home. Yes, No Way Home. And I'm not doing this alone, because here's the thing, because I almost thought that I would be doing this myself. I was even considering having my dad join me for this, but he dropped out. I mean, not like anything rude or anything, just, and besides, I realized that, I could carry this on myself. However, one of my good friends jumped to the chance. He was interested in, coming on board for this, and thus he is. And yes, the more you read this title, you know who is joining me. Joining me reviewing Spider-Man No Way Home is my good friend, Elijah Goring. It's good to have you for this one.
Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yep. And the thing is, because not just me, but Elijah, because each of us, we did get to experience No Way Home in theaters. And let's start with me, because my experience, and also before I read the description / the story, a little background, and, with me and Elijah's experience seeing the film. Well, because, my experience, again, starting with me, my experience seeing No Way Home, well, fantastic, pretty much because, I had seen all three of the first three Spider-Man films with Tom Holland in the MCU, and, and here's the thing, because after the release of the second installment of the MCU Spider-Man, Far From Home. After that came out, not long after that came out, it seemed like there was a stir that happening between Disney and Sony. And, of course, Columbia, Sony being a part of Columbia Pictures. So it seemed like there was a stir going on between them, and the possibility, the risk, if that Spider-Man would no longer be a part of the MCU, which, of course, that would have been a complete disaster if that would have happened. And it did seem like that at first. But luckily, a little bit later on, Columbia and Disney, they managed to patch things up, and, good thing too. I even read where Tom Holland convinced them to, really negotiate and to get a third movie made. And thank God, and good thing on Tom Holland's part, because, with Disney and Columbia Pictures / Sony, them negotiating, and they settled things and so on, they patched things up, the third installment proceeded on, and of course it was a go, and golly, because I remember, when they were working on it, and it was teased whom was going to appear, like the villains, for example, like first Alfred Molina, and then Jamie Foxx, and from there on, and, when the film finally came out, a couple of surprises, which, they didn't give out fully, but until seeing it on the big screen. And when I saw it on the big screen with my dad and my stepmom, oh, fantastic. And nice to see that, I guess you could say it kind of took Star Wars' place, because the sequel trilogy coming out in December, and now this time it was a Spider-Man film, and a hyped, excited movie coming out, towards near the end of the year, the holiday season and such, and of course that being No Way Home. It was great seeing No Way Home on the big screen, and just seeing all these villains together, and of course seeing the three Spider-Mans together as well. Just it was really fantastic, and not to mention because I actually did cosplay as Spider-Man going to see that. I mean, who wouldn't? Who would not? Like anybody like who loves Marvel and Star Wars, anything, who would not want to dress up and go to the theaters? You know what I mean? So there's my side on that, seeing the film. Like, we'll come to you, Elijah. What was your experience seeing No Way Home?
That is a good question. I would say it's a huge deal because Columbia Pictures and Disney, Marvel Studios, in fact, Columbia Pictures is partnering with Disney through this MCU saga.
Yeah.
I have never seen anything like this before, and as a Sony Pictures buff and a Columbia Pictures buff, and speaking of Columbia Pictures, this year is like the 100th anniversary of this studio now. It's crazy.
Yeah, as of this upload, so.
And getting back to Spider-Man, Spider-Man No Way Home was like a huge deal for fans, and including myself. I mean, I never watched the Tom Holland movies, but this one particularly is the third movie I watched from him, and I remember watching the original Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah. Now hold. I don't mean to cut you off, but hold up. You had not seen the first two Spider-Man films with Tom Holland before this one?
No, Andrew Garfield. Never saw that, to be honest.
Oh well.
I was gonna say what I was saying. When I first saw the movie, I thought, oh my god, this movie is gonna be crazy. It is nuts. It's a crossover movie. It's like, I think of this as like the next Star Wars or something like that, because people love crossover movies and TV, something like that, like DC, for example.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
It's just, I've never seen a movie like this before. I was in shock that Willem Dafoe as returning his role as the Green Goblin. Oh my god, Jamie Foxx killed it. Alfred Molina.
Yep.
Killed it as Dr. Octopus. Man, it's a huge movie to make, and I love the movie to start to finish. And I remember seeing that movie 3 years ago around December, before, like 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yep.
And New Year's, 3 weeks New Year's, and great film. I loved it to start to finish, and I had a great time seeing that movie.
Right, and good place to end it off right there, because now, as always, read the description / the story. With Spider-Man's identity now revealed, our friendly neighborhood web-slinger is unmasked and no longer able to separate his normal life as Peter Parker from the high stakes of being a superhero. When Peter asks for help from Doctor Strange, the stakes become even more dangerous, forcing him to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man. Alright, so the film itself, because, literally, picking up after the second installment, because, well, when, not Doctor Strange, Mysterio revealing the whole world that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, well, that's true, but what's not true is, well, because Mysterio tricked everybody into thinking that, well, Spider-Man is a murderer, and, that Spider-Man was about to kill him and so on, because, well, we all know what happened in that, and, well, that being Mysterio's last, trick up his sleeves with his because he's the master of illusions and such, so that being his last one, and how he did get Peter right before he got killed, and thus, because should have seen it coming, because everybody thinking that Spider-Man / Peter Parker is a murderer and so on, and well, even because some of them even questioning MJ and Peter and getting MJ out of there, and those shots, those up close shots where they're swinging through New York, pretty good. Not to mention, because if you noticed, because the MCU, they'll have Easter eggs and such, and one of them is an advertisement, a billboard advertisement, I think, because advertising for Steve Rogers the musical, that's pretty good. Well, because No Way Home coming out pretty much the same time when the Hawkeye series began. So, which, by the way, because, that one having a fellow enemy of Spider-Man, Kingpin. So, And so, yeah, them getting out of there and when they reach back to Peter's and MJ's, not MJ, um, Aunt May back at their apartment. And, well, apparently because, a thing going on between May and Happy. And once again, Happy Hogan being played by Jon Favreau, and May Parker / Aunt May, once again being played by Marissa Tomei, if I'm saying that right. And you know me sometimes, so it was pretty funny because Happy walking in and thinking, because, well, MJ and Peter, they just did you know what, but obviously not, because, Peter, taking off his Spider-Man uniform, and he's half naked and such. And, well, because, things look pretty bad, for our characters. I mean, not just for Peter, but those who are connected with Peter and such and know him, from his aunt and his friends at school. Of course, MJ. MJ once again being played by Zendaya, and of course Tom Holland once again playing the title character, Spider-Man / Peter Parker, and Ned, once again being in this, being played by Jacob Batalon, if I'm saying that right. And, because it's nice to see that, well, once again, because MJ and Ned, they have a huge part in this, and some of the other, kid characters at school, because, yeah, they really don't have a huge part in this. I'm, of course, referring to Flash Thompson, once again being played by Tony Revolori, if I am getting that right, and Betty Brant, once again being played by Agnery Rice. Because they don't have a huge part in this film, but it's still nice to see that, they're still in the film, and we see them, again, even though they didn't have a huge part. I mean, them having huge roles in the last installment worked. And for this, yeah, managed to work for them, not having huge roles, you get my point. So again, because they're brought in for questioning, and luckily, because, things seem to die down a bit for Peter getting framed and such, with the help of, Matt Murdock, and this was the triumphant return of Matt Murdock / the Daredevil, even though Daredevil not appearing in this film, just Matt Murdock being himself as as the lawyer, once again being played by Charlie Cox. Nice to see Charlie Cox, again, this was the triumphant return of Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, and clearly, because a little bit later on, we would once again see him, not just as Matt Murdock, but Daredevil in, say, She-Hulk. Yeah, because that's where Daredevil would return in the suit in She-Hulk, and, and also that same month when this movie came out, because this and Hawkeye being the triumphant returns of both Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio as their characters. So Matt Murdock, he does help out Peter Parker on his situation. And again, I think, because things seem to die down a bit for Peter, but not that much. Still, life being difficult for Peter, even though, because he seems to be kind of not really let off the hook and such with what he's framed for, but still. And it was also funny because, Happy being on screen with Matt Murdock, and, well, because clearly, probably not intentional, but still, the fact that Jon Favreau was in the Daredevil film with Ben Affleck as Daredevil, and not to mention, because, people just, chanting Parker, calling him a murderer and such, one of them throwing, a brick or something, and Matt catching it, and it was funny. Peter, going, "How'd you do that?" And Matt saying, I'm a really good lawyer." So we'll come to you, Elijah. What do you have to say so far on what we've come up to?
Mentioning, you mean Marissa Tomei. I thought she did a great job as May. I give her a lot of credit for her role, and and I was in shock that Thomas Hayden Church was in the movie. I was surprised. And what was that actor? And
I was just also going to ask, what about Matt Murdock's appearance in the film?
I didn't know. I never watched Daredevil, to be honest. I watched the movie with Ben Affleck years ago. I'd mentioned it, John. What's his name? The actor you're mentioning who plays The limo driver I'm talking about.
The limo driver.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of his name.
I don't know.
Oh.
in another Marvel movie?
No, he was in a movie. Well, he was an elf. He was the director. He played
John Favreau.
John Favreau. Right.
John Favreau as Happy Hogan. Yeah.
He did a good job in the movie, and I give him credit. And I remember seeing him in what was that movie? I was mentioning Elf. I know he did Sathora as a director. I mean, that's one of my favorite movies too. And
he's also, not only a good director but a good actor as well. So,
actor, director, you name it. What I was saying about the whole movie, and the moment there's like 3 Spider-Mans on the laboratory scene, I was like, oh my god, that's legendary.
Yeah, but until we get to that, them in the lab. I was going to ask, like, were you aware when you saw this movie? Were you aware that was Matt Murdock / Daredevil appearing in the film? Were you aware that was the character?
Not really. I don't focus on like Easter eggs and stuff like that. I just watch the whole movie to see what it is,
Okay.
You know how I am.
I understand. But, okay, so stop you right there to continue on with the film. So like I said, it seems like things are looking okay for Peter, but not that much. He's not really let off the hook that well. Also, not to mention, because how it is also difficult for him going back to school. And, well, some of the teachers, some of them who we did see in the second installment, Far From Home, they're there and greeting Peter. And they even, have a wall decoration or something, dedicated to him, I want to say. And some moments between Peter and MJ, like one where they're on FaceTime and one where they're up at the school balcony, and then when Ned shows up. And also, not to mention, because they sent in their applications to attend to college, and unfortunately they didn't get it. So, especially because when they're at this, cafe, because, MJ does work there part-time, I think, and, because Peter knows that pretty much, things are really screwed up, and he gets an idea, trying to figure out if there's a way to fix this, and he notices, a couple of wall decorations, lighting decorations in, the cafe and such. Well, they're decorations related to Doctor Strange, and thus he gets an idea to, go to Doctor Strange, once again being played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and we also get, the appearance of Wong, once again being played by Benedict Wong. So Peter goes to Doctor Strange for some help, and it's funny because when we enter into the location of where Doctor Strange and Wong reside, with, the wizards and sorcerers and so on, because apparently it's snowing inside. Also, this was real. Fun fact, because when Doctor Strange is floating down and because of his cape, well, when he lands on the surface, the ground, well, he does kind of slip. That happened. That actually happened. Benedict did actually slipped. Well, you know what? It is fitting, and, well, they left that taken, because it's very fitting, because snow can be slippery. So, yeah, and, depending on the surface of the snow and such, and ice. So, again, Peter attending to Doctor Strange to get some help to basically have the whole world, those who know him now, forget that he's Spider-Man. He wants to just have everything back the way it was before Mysterio revealed who he is and framing him and so on. It seems to go pretty well at first, and Peter realizes that, well, wait a minute, he can't have everybody forget that he's Spider-Man, because not like, say, Happy Hogan, Aunt May, MJ, Ned, and so on, and it's starting to kind of screw up the spell that Doctor Strange is doing. And not just them, but I think, the Avengers and himself, they shouldn't forget who he is. In fact, because that's what Doctor Strange was planning to do. Just, this includes him too. It was nice knowing you, Peter, but, Peter realizing that that's a bad idea, and, what he's asking Doctor Strange, and, of course, how, at a certain point, because it's really being screwed up, and, well, something happens, and, because of Peter, even though Peter, of course, didn't intentionally do anything. and and Peter's saying something that kind of gets Doctor Strange ticked off, and he's booted out of the building. And we'll come to you. Okay, we'll come back to you, Elijah. Like, what do you have to say so far because of Doctor Strange's appearance in this film?
At first, well, to me, I thought, man, he's back already. I thought it was part 2, but yeah, but this movie. Well, speaking of Doctor Strange, I know he has his own movie, he has his own sequel.
Uh-huh.
And actually, this movie came out before this Doctor Strange 2.
That's right.
Like in 2022. That's what I think. And the scene when Peter Parker goes to his house, and then things kind of like a riff-raff situation, and it's like another dimension, and like New York City's just going all over the dimension. I thought, man, this is crazy. Bob Cumberbatch did a great job in that role, and I was pleased. And my mom really loved the first Doctor Strange movie. I was going to tell you that, and that, I mean, it's one of the best Marvel movies ever. Yeah. I mean, the MCU movies are pretty good now, but this movie particularly, it's amazing. I was blown away with that scene.
Yep, and yeah, and also because even if you knew, Elijah, because up to this film and next year when Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness came out, that was kind of like a record for Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, appearing in almost like every Marvel MCU material, because starting with the first Doctor Strange film, and from there on, from 2016 to 2022, that's like a record for him appearing in a lot, the most, if you knew that.
Yes, especially the Avengers films.
Yes.
The last 2 Avengers movies.
And
Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, and he even making a small appearance in Thor Ragnarok where he's helping Thor locate his father. So if you remember that.
Right. I mean, Marvel is getting bigger now, and at first it was fantastic, and now it's just a downfall, I would say.
Yeah.
After the Marvel's movie, downfall.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think I can tell, because it feels like they'll have a huge success, then they'll have a disastrous film, and from one after the other and such. But jumping back to the film, because
right.
After Doctor Strange booting out Parker, and to speed things up, because Parker, he tries to talk and negotiate with the MIT assistant vice chancellor. Yeah, that's her, being played by Paula Newsome. And by the way, because we did get an appearance, because those questioning Parker and all those that are part of Parker's life, Agent Clary, being played by Arian Moade, if I'm saying that right, because he would appear a year later in Miss Marvel. So yeah, before Miss Marvel, he was in this. Little did we know that a character like him, because having a huge role in something else Marvel MCU. But yeah, so again, Parker trying to talk with the Vice Chancellor, but then, of course, Peter sensing, because of his spidey senses, he senses that, trouble is upon him and causing disaster, and thus, because of what happened when Peter not intentionally he didn't do it, like tamping with the spell that Doctor Strange was doing, it got worse. Because we get the introduction of one of the first villains, and to come back, Dr. Otto Octavius / Doc Ock, once again being played by Alfred Molina, and because early on, and before the film was coming out, and while they were still filming it, and they did make the announcement that, I remember that Alfred Molina was announced, and a little bit later on, Jamie Foxx was announced, and Willem Dafoe, etc. And even when the teaser came out, one of the trailers, they did reveal, obviously, because the MCU, Marvel Studios themselves, they revealed the appearance of Doc Ock, and that he was going to be in it, and then, of course, from Electro, the Green Goblin. But yeah, that sequence with, first seeing Doc Ock and him, thinking that it's Parker, the Parker that he knows, and, hello, Peter. And, Doc Ock still just about looks the same as he did in the second Spider-Man film in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. And, yeah, because I think, they kind of, maybe they did do a little bit of de-aging, almost, and his robotic tentacles, and, because in Spider-Man 2, sometimes they were practical on screen, but sometimes, there had to be some CG shots with the tentacles. But in this, they're completely CG. And you know what? They still look pretty good. And that's the thing, because the CG and visual effects in this, and to think that they were filming this, I think, the same year that it was supposed to come out, boy, they did a heck of a good job, getting this done. And the visual effects, I mean, and what's important is, just for live action films and with the CG and visual effects, always make them look good and such, really good. And I think, they're pretty good in this. And so, a fight between Doc Ock and Peter Parker / Spider-Man, and once again, seeing him put on, having the Iron Spider-Man suit, and with those tentacles, those coming out of his Iron Spider suit, and taking on Doc Ock, really awesome. And up until, because Doc Ock gaining control and a little bit of nanotechnology from the Iron Spider suit. But what happens is that, Spider-Man has control of the tentacles. So no longer Doc Ock, he does. And it's pretty funny, just him testing it and moving one of them around. And thus, Doc Ock being defeated and held, captive, and because of what happened, Peter saved the day, stopping Doc Ock. The assistant vice chancellor has change of heart for Peter, giving him a second chance, and he'll make sure to get him and his friends, MJ and Ned, into college and such, and her confronting Doc Ock a little bit. That was funny. Okay, we'll come to you. Okay, now we'll come to you, Elijah, because what do you have to say on where we, first get the introduction of Doc Ock and that whole sequence where Doc Ock taking on Peter / Spider-Man?
This is a unique conversation about this. I remember the second movie years ago. I mean, how he became evil, and he's a good man, but I remember the Sam Raimi movies, and I thought Alfred Molina did a great job. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did a great job. He killed it. Actually, personally, he's my favorite Spider-Man villain. I think everybody else would agree too that Doc Ock and Sam Raimi Spider-Man being played by Alfred Molina was one of the best. Yeah, it was. I mean, the movie. I don't know why the movie was a big success, and the sequel was a big success than the first movie.
Yeah.
But Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe. I had a feeling that he killed it. He crushed the role as Norman Osborn / Green Goblin. Actually, Green Goblin is my favorite villain too. Ever since I saw the first movie, and
I think that also goes for everybody else. Thinking that Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin was another great Spider-Man villain as well.
I bet he got nominated for an Oscar for that. And but this movie, but this movie, man, all the villains come together and just taking out Spider-Man. It's crazy. It's oh my god, nuts. Yeah. It's terrifying. It's scary. It's freaking nuts.
Yeah, and again, what did you think of that sequence? Because, anything you have to say because of Doc Ock taking on Peter Parker in the MCU, thinking that it's the other Peter Parker and such.
That's a good question. It's different for them, the actors,
Yeah.
I've never seen this before.
And because... I was just going to say, and because Doc Ock is fighting a different Peter / Spider-Man, not the Peter Parker / Spider-Man that he knows from his universe.
Right, it's different to fight Tom Holland's character.
Right,
and it's when I first saw it, I thought it's pretty challenging. It's very challenging for him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that said, yeah, because again, and because you mentioned Willem Dafoe, because again, with Doc Ock being held captive, and because Spider-Man has control of his robotic tentacles, well, more trouble arrives, because hearing a clanking sound hitting the road, and well, that's a bomb. That's a bomb, like in like the form of a pumpkin and such, the orange bombs. And well, yeah, Green Goblin. Enter Green Goblin, because yep, Green Goblin showing up, and with that suit and the mask, and well, Willem Dafoe once again playing Green Goblin. But before Peter can take on Green Goblin, even Doc Ock, he knows it's Osborn. But yeah, again, before Peter can take on Green Goblin, well, because Doctor Strange summons Peter, as well as putting Doc Ock in a prison, technically, with a force field. And he also captured the Lizard, because we then see the Lizard, Dr. Kurt Connors / the Lizard, once again being played by Rice Evans, if I'm saying that right, and only voicing the Lizard, because throughout most of the film, because we see the Lizard in his lizard form, which it worked fine until what happens later on, later on in the film, and Doctor Strange, confronting Peter, telling him, be careful what you wish for, and yeah, Doctor Strange telling him, because of what happened, and because Peter tamped it with the spell that Doctor Strange was doing, and because, well, with these villains being here in their world, it's Peter's responsibility. It was, that was his responsibility. Even Doctor Strange questioning Doc Ock, do you know Peter Parker? Yes. Is this him? No. So, and Peter telling Doctor Strange that he, there was another villain that he saw, as Peter described, like a flying green elf. And then, well, because they got to get cracking, just gathering up all the villains and sending them back to where they belong. And Peter, asks Doctor Strange, if he can bring in more help by bringing in MJ and Ned, because MJ and Ned stepping in, and what was in the trailer, but of course it was changed for the movie, because Scooby-Doo this crap, and it's and MJ telling Doctor Strange, boy, because her setting Doctor Strange set, that he should add in a please, and please, Scooby-Doo this crap. That being in the trailer, but in the movie, well, of course that's different. Instead of, crap, please, Scooby-Doo this shit. That was funny. And so, yeah, and what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say,
well, okay, we'll I don't mean to cut you off, but we'll come to you. What do you have to say so far now?
Well, I was gonna say, like you said, oh my god, that was the funniest thing. I remember in the theater, people was laughing. It was cracking
now,
up.
Did you see the trailer that had that, where they had the word crap? Did you see that?
Yeah, before the movie came out, of course, yeah. I saw the trailer.
And then, of course, when the movie came out, of course, them saying, please, Scooby-Doo this shit. So, I think I was just gonna say, I think clearly, and I should have known this too. I probably did, because when the trailer came out, and because they say Scooby-Doo this crap, I think clearly, because when the movie would come out, clearly it wouldn't be crap. So,
right.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. So
yeah, it's a PG-13 rated movie. It can have some language or strong language. It's not like an R-rated. If it was an R-rated
exactly,
movie,
yeah.
If they could put a lot of F words and shit like that, they're gonna say fuck all the time.
Yeah, and also, it could depend on some trailers. I mean, sometimes you can get a bit of a few bad words, mostly say probably hell and damn. But for say Red Band trailers, oh yeah, because they would get the F-bombs out there. So, but okay, coming back to the movie, because again, MJ and Ned stepping in, helping out Peter and Doctor Strange, and Well, because at one point, Peter's Spider-Man suit got messy and such, and yeah, and struggling trying to clean it off, and well, he has to wear it inside out, and by doing so, because even Doctor Strange gives Peter the capability of his powers, so that way he can teleport and such. And so Peter trying to find the other villains, including Green Goblin, and he makes his way to the woods, and well, because, more villains are lurking there, like Sandman, and also Electro, because that's where they're at, and it's nice to see, and yeah, because clearly this, it was bound to happen, because with Sandman being in this, Sandman helping out Peter, even though he thinks it's the Peter that he knows from where he's at, helping out, trying to stop Electro, and yeah, because, yep, seeing Electro in this, and how it's nice that this movie makes up for how Electro looked in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. We actually see Jamie Foxx on screen, and how he, how they gave Electro his powers, like how he did them instead of like a blue face. You get my point. So yeah, Jamie Foxx once again playing Max Dillon / Electro, and Sandman, because he was mentioned earlier. Thomas Hayden Church once again playing Flint Marko / Sandman, and it's funny because, well, clearly because Electro is naked, and Electro says something about the woods, I hate the woods, and Spider-Man sending Electro and Sandman to their cells, and yeah, so most of the villains are captured except for one more. It's only fitting that he would be the last to get, and so on, and because when they show up, and also because each of the villains, well, like starting with the Lizard and Electro, because they recognize one another, and even the Lizard commenting like, did you get a makeover? Last time you wore glasses and so on, and yeah, even Peter accidentally brought in a tree, and Ned was wondering if that tree was a villain too, and Electro, telling Ned, it's just a tree, man, and it is, so that, Peter did that by accident, bringing in a tree. And then we come back to the Green Goblin, who's, kind of hiding, and, he has no idea where to go, and how he's confronted by Green Goblin, Osborn being confronted by Green Goblin, and just like how it was done in the first installment of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, because Osborn talking to Green Goblin and so on, yeah, because, the mask of the Green Goblin interacting with Osborn, coward, and Osborn having enough of the Green Goblin and smashing the mask, and in this, well, this was the best opportunity, and rightfully so, that we did get to see a lot of Willem Dafoe's face as the Green Goblin, the faces that he can pull off with his performance as the Green Goblin, fantastic. And I'll be completely honest, if I have or if I've not said this before, I never had a problem. I never complained about the mask. I know that there's a good chunk of those, and I'm sure some of you too, that had a problem with the mask that Willem Dafoe had to wear, and how, we should have seen his face and such. But again, for me, the mask didn't bother me, and, I'm sure a lot of people would admit that in the first installment of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, there are some close-up shots that were really cool, where he had the mask on, like seeing his eyes and his mouth and such, really cool. But for No Way Home, yeah, because it made a lot of sense that, get rid of the mask and we see a lot of his face, and even the getup that he has on, because he has a little bit of purple around him, and, well, even when Peter gets word from his aunt that, one of the last villains here in their world has been found, and nice that, Aunt May, attending and, comforting Osborn, because Osborn, again, as he explained, he has nowhere to go. His company doesn't exist, and no trace of his son, clearly, because Harry had to be mentioned, and, because Yeah, even like it seems like Osborn can help them out, and so on. And even Aunt May, talking with Peter about him and so on. Okay, we'll come to you, Elijah, because anything like what else do you have to say about Willem Dafoe and with Osborn and so on, and with what I've said so far?
Thank you, Chuck. I finally can talk. Oh my God, yeah, it's sad that his character just lost everything, his business, his money, his son played well. James Franco did a good job, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and the fact that again, that all of that not being in this world that Osborn is in, so nothing, none of it that he has, his company and such, not existing in this world of the MCU. So
I'm not gonna lie, that is, and then like this is some scary shit. But I don't know why he's so scary. I don't know why he's dark. I don't know why. In the beginning, he lost everything. I'm trying to recap the first movie. He started killing everybody. He started killing his partners and his employees. I was like,
well,
man,
it's not Osborn's doing. It's the Green Goblin's doing and controlling Osborn. So
that's why he lost all that money from not Osborn, but Green Goblin's doing this because that's his decision.
Yeah.
And, I'm not gonna lie. When I hear about the mask, I'm not gonna lie. That was. I mean, when I saw that mask, I was like, man, my memories is coming back. It's from the dead.
Yeah.
And that's just haunt me. It wants to kill me. Literally, that mask. I mean,
I was just gonna say, I have no doubt that there were probably some kids that were terrified of the Green Goblin mask. No doubt about it.
Nah, man. But I was gonna say, excuse me. Well, yeah, Willem Dafoe bring that character to life. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And he did a great job.
Absolutely.
From this movie to the first two Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi trilogy. I mean, and I give a lot of credit for his performance and his character throughout the film. I respect it a lot. Yeah,
and seeing as how, because whenever, Green Goblin is not on screen, taking control of Osborn, Osborn just being himself, because he's a nice guy and, helping out Peter a little bit later on, good to see.
And then all of a sudden, he went psycho.
Yeah, because again, Green Goblin stepping in, so no longer Osborn, it's Green Goblin, stepping in and taking over Osborn's body and so on.
Again, that's I think he's very psychotic because he's dangerous and he's like this man is twisted. It's terrifying. This man is scary. He's he's twisted. He's like a narcissist or something like that.
Yeah.
He's dangerous.
Yeah.
And he's psycho. He's psycho.
And how did you feel? Because how we did get, of course, the mask, but how Osborn destroyed it, and from there on, because we got to see more of Dafoe's face, and whenever Green Goblin is present, and his facial expressions, and with his performance of the Green Goblin.
Oh my God, I love this conversation that you mentioned in me. Once he destroyed that mask, you don't want to see that mask again, and then it's gonna still come up to his mind.
Yes. Green Goblin, you think, he thinks that, after he destroyed that mask, he got rid of Green Goblin, but no, even without wearing the mask, and even this was in the first installment of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, because Green Goblin is still there, inside, and possessing Osborn, even without wearing the mask.
Oh my God. And what's funny? What's funny about this, right, man? And I thought Spider-Man was going to be a horror movie originally, but it's not.
Well, I mean, Sam Raimi has done some horror stuff. I mean, even in in his Spider-Man trilogy, he has added in some horror vibes and such,
Evil Dead films, and I didn't know Bruce Campbell was in the first movie. I didn't know that. And then
all three. He was in all three. He was in all three. Yeah.
And then another thing, man. I didn't know J.K. Simmons was in this movie, The No Way Home, as a surprise.
Well, and
as a cameo.
Yeah, and because Yeah, thank you for bringing up thank you for bringing him up, because I did want, of course, wanted to, of course, mention, and have to mention J.K. Simmons, because, and in case you forgot, Elijah, because, well, in the second installment, at the end of it, Far From Home, because, yeah, we did get the appearance of Joanna Jameson once again being played by J.K. Simmons, and how he does technically have not a big role, but still like a minor role in this, just popping up here and there in No Way Home. And, well, because it's the Daily Bugle that, posted that footage of Mysterio framing Spider-Man and revealing Spider-Man's actual name and so on. Yeah. But coming back to the film, because, yeah, again, Osborn being taken in, and it seems like he could be used for some help, and Doctor Strange stepping in, and he throws Osborn in his cell, but actually before that, because, well, Osborn recognizing Octavius, and, well, same goes for Octavius, and, well, apparently, because where these villains were at, because for Octavius, he was where he was at before showing up, because, well, he was there after Osborn was killed, and Octavius telling Osborn, that, you died and so on. And for Sandman, where he was at and when he showed up, because, well, he was there after both Octavius and Osborn died, and of course he knows what happened to them, and, well, same goes for, like, for Electro, because him explaining, because what the Lizard was doing, and, he was a man, and the Lizard, it was pretty funny, the Lizard offering Electro a makeover, and, like, let me guess, turning into a lizard, and clearly, so, and basically, what's to happen next is, well, Doctor Strange, he's gonna send all of them back where they came from, and how, well, they're supposed to die, but Peter, he can tell that there is still good in them, and there was before what tragically happened to all of them, and Peter thinks that they deserve a second chance to survive, live, and so on, and be reborn, no longer be possessed by evil, and so on. And, well, he even steals a spell, a box that Doctor Strange was going to use. In fact, he was using a spell box, and what he was using to erase everybody's memories of Peter, Spider-Man, that Peter is Spider-Man. So Peter's stealing it from Doctor Strange, and from there on, because Doctor Strange trying to get it back, even pushing Peter out of his body, that moment in Doctor Strange, and how apparently Peter out of his body, he can still control his suit, because the theory is, spidey senses and so on, which that about sounds right, and I would go with that. And, yeah, and so Peter, like, running away from Doctor Strange, trying to avoid him and so on, and I tell ya, because Doctor Strange, like, whipping out his illusions and such, and trying to get it back from Peter, the spell box, but Peter outsmarts Doctor Strange this time, and by, unleashing his webs and basically, like, holding Doctor Strange in his place and just leaving him there while Peter does whatever he can do to try to, find a way to send them back and not have them be killed and have them be back to good people and so on. So, yeah, throughout most of the film from there on, because Doctor Strange being left where he's at, and, yeah, so, and, okay, and we'll come to you, Elijah, because anything you have to say because of that whole sequence where Doctor Strange and Peter, to put it this, Doctor Strange trying to get the spell box back from Peter, and all these illusions happening of, from Doctor Strange and so on. So what I've talked about so far.
Yeah, I remember that scene. It was like, I think Peter took it, and then
yes,
Doctor Strange pretty much tricked. No. Peter Parker tricked, and pretty much no. I'm trying to remember. No, I think Doctor Strange trying to find the box, and
yeah,
pretty much Spider-Man steal the box.
Yeah, I mean,
and, it's like if you open that spell or whatever, things are gonna be bad or worse. It'll be be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
Like, shit hits the fan, you know?
Yep. And again,
Like
I don't mean to cut you off, but again, Doctor Strange unleashing his powers and illusions, and how towards the end Peter gets to him, tricks him, and so on, and so on.
Yeah, I think this is. I know it sounds crazy, but the whole movie is crazy. Everything's nuts.
It is.
It's just a crazy concept. I've never seen a movie like this before in my life.
In a good way, of course.
Exactly. I've never seen a movie like this, which is so crazy. Because the reason why Sony and Marvel are doing this movie, because it's for the fans, you know.
Yeah.
Because the fans are
fan
obsessed
base
with Spider-Man. Exactly, fan base. The fans are obsessed with the Spider-Man movies and Toby, Tom, and Andrew. Especially the villains that we discuss. It's crazy. It's a crazy ass movie.
Yeah.
From the get-go.
Okay, stop you right there, because continuing on with the film, because after that, well, Peter, along with MJ and Ned, trying to figure out how to do this, and, well, Osborn offering to help, because, you know, mentioning to Peter that he's something of a scientist himself, and thus, you know, with him and Peter working together, trying to figure out how to, you know, resolve this, and, well, and try to have all of them, you know, turn back into good and such, drain out the evil and so on. And by, like, creating, like, a cure to, you know, have them no longer be evil and so on. And, so all of them are taken to the apartment building that Aunt May and Peter are staying at, because, they had to move. Here's the thing, they had to move to a different apartment building. I think, the one that, obviously, that has to do with Stark, and how one of the interactive Stark machines, you know, is there, and Happy, of course, being there. And, it's pretty funny, because when they arrive, because I think, this was cut from the film, and I think, it probably, because there is an extended edition to this movie, extended cut, director's cut, blah, 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 where they're on the elevator, and the Muzak elevator, and so on, and when they make it there, because, security camera footage, and we see them, you know, pass by the security camera footage, even with Electro passing by it, how it's his electric affecting it a little bit. And Lizard, according to Aunt May, because the Lizard, Dr. Connors, he chose to stay in the truck. Yeah, so it's just Sandman, Electro, Osborn, and Octavius in the apartment building. And even when Sandman, like, he sits on a couch, he gets a little bit of sand, spills a little bit of sand, a little mess. That's funny. And Octavius still tangled up in one of his robotic tentacles, because, again, Peter taking control of the tentacles. And even, like, it was funny, because there's one moment where Aunt May offers Doc Ock a drink. I think, like, there's an octopus joke in there. And it is funny, of course. And seeing Osborn and Peter, like, teaming up and doing scientific stuff, you know, making this cure and so on. And Osborn, you know, he's impressed with this technology in this world, and how almost like really nothing like what, you know, where he comes from. Not quite. Even Osborn, he was offering Peter a job, like, you know, in his company and so on. And if Peter were to consider, besides, why would Peter want to leave that world? I mean, you know. And so to speed things up, because they get the cure made, and, some more moments between, like, the villains and such, and, nice to see, because, in this, sometimes, you know, there's some bit of funny humor and moments with the villains, you know, and it depends, like, you know, if it's done in the right way and such, you know, so again, the cure is made, and to speed things up some more, because, testing it, like, the first one to take it is, of course, Doc Ock, by, like, putting it, like, on the back of his neck, and, and if you recall, because he had that inhibitor chip, to protect him, and if any risk of the tentacles controlling him, which was, you know, very well established in the second installment of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, that inhibitor chip that he made on the back of his neck. And so, that doing the cure on the back of his neck, and he does pass out for a moment, but of course he wakes up and it worked. It's like he's a reborn man, no longer evil. Like the voices and such, as he says, no longer in his head. And well, they were about to do it on the other villains, but until Green Goblin stepping in once again. It's not Osborn, it's Green Goblin. I think, yeah, because even Peter, he knew that no longer Osborn, it was Green Goblin. I'm sure that goes for the others. And, the fact that Electro and, for some reason, Sandman, they listened to Green Goblin. Of course, Otto Octavius didn't, because, well, he was cured and such, and, even, telling Osborn, no, just like, you're making a mistake, however he says it. Just Green Goblin just giving this speech to the other villains who have not been cured yet, and how it's a mistake taking the cure and such, and the power that they have. And of course, this especially goes to Electro. Yeah, and okay, we'll come to you, Elijah. Like, what do you have to say? What do you have to say now with what I've come up to now?
I want to speed things up.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it fast because I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
This long conversation trying to get to the end of the movie.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, and then things, like you said, things working, and then all of a sudden things go wrong and things go bad, and all of a sudden all hell breaks loose.
Exactly.
Especially Green Goblin just throwing like bombs and shit. It's like shit hits the face, blew up everything. And
the other two villains as well doing the same thing.
And then they're evil. They continue to be evil.
Yeah, and also Sandman. Let's talk about Sandman for a moment, because him, like, following Electro and Green Goblin, like, I have to agree. Even the Nostalgia Critic, because when he did his review on the film, yeah, Sandman makes no sense. Him just being evil and such, and just like what Green Goblin and Electro are doing, it makes no sense, because clearly he would have been helping out. He should have. And, well, and obviously the same goes for Otto, the fact that, even though he is cured and such, but even though Sandman isn't yet, because, and if you get what I'm saying, Elijah, like, do you have anything to say on that with Sandman?
Nobody ever talked about him for a long time. I feel like he's like a cliffhanger, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good dude, but he's a father too. But,
yeah.
And then he just gone berserk.
Yeah, there was no, and that's the thing, because that's another thing to put at it. He shouldn't have gone berserk. Like, there was no reason for him to go berserk like the other two, because he should have helped out Peter and so on.
And then also, I don't mean to cut you off. Also, he went rogue, by the way.
For no reason. Well, especially in this movie, when it came up to Green Goblin giving that speech and convincing, not just Electro, but Sandman as well to not do the cure and so on. Made no sense for Sandman. And I think you, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think you viewers know exactly what I'm talking about. So, yeah. And you could let me know in the comments, too, what you think on that, too, and if you agree with me, too, because I think it's totally obvious, so... But, you know what, I mean, I don't want to say I want to make a huge deal of it, because I think it's kind of fine, but at the same time, still, like, it seemed like that Sandman should have just not gone berserk like the other two from not taking the cure and such. I'm just saying.
I can see.
Yeah, and here's another thing, because I almost forgot to mention this. Like, the fact that only Rhys Ifans and Thomas Hayden Church, they don't really appear on screen, because Sandman and the Lizard's appearance in this movie, well, them being computer animated and such, Sandman being completely sand, and Lizard, well, of course, in the lizard form, which... Not a big deal, because it seemed to work, and, well, the fact, because I don't think, both Hayden Church and Effens, they were not able to actually be there on set, and honestly, the more you think about it, and I think, I knew this too, the more you think about it, like, I think it's totally fine, especially since if Thomas Hayden Church had actually appeared on screen, well, he would not have looked the same as how he looked how old he was when he was doing Spider-Man 3, and if you know where I'm going with this. But yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, because with them just being in their forms, Sand and the Lizard, it works fine, but later on, we do see them in their actual human forms, and when we get to that. But yeah, so continuing on, so Green Goblin, like, taking on Parker, and even when Aunt May, Peter told Aunt May to, make a run for it with the cure and such, the spell box, basically. Yeah, because Peter, he still had that. So telling his aunt to make a run for it, Otto, he does flee. I think he does kind of help, but he gets the heck out of there. And even with the Daily Bugle, like, Jameson, they're outside of that building, and, well, the Lizard, being in the truck still, he can sense what's going on, and he likes it. He likes where this is going, and thus he gets out of the truck. And I do remember that it was in the trailer where Jameson, wondering what the heck that was, because of the Lizard, commenting, saying if, a dinosaur, just, yeah. That fight sequence between Green Goblin and Parker, really good. Even when, one moment where Parker is punching Green Goblin, and those faces that Defoe pulls off, just really good. And when we come down to the building, because Aunt May's still being there, and Green Goblin summoning his glider, and because the glider comes in, well, it does hit Aunt May, and Green Goblin, he even, of course, threw a bomb, and luckily Peter and Aunt May, they did survive that. And even Happy Hogan, he was showing up. He was on his way to the apartment building, and he even questioned and left Peter a voice message, who were they on that security camera footage? Because he's kind of unaware, of course, what's been going on with all those villains. Okay, but yeah, we'll come to you, Elijah, because anything you have to say, what we've come up to, so.
Okay. I mean, the whole scene, the entire scene was crazy. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it was nuts. It's just chaotic, and it's just all the villains gone rogue and berserk at the same time, and they headed to this building, this construction building.
Yeah, we would see them a little bit later on, and they know that the Spider-Man would be present there, so
this is getting exciting.
Yes.
Very exciting.
And the little fight between Parker and Green Goblin, that was pretty good too.
Yes, it is crazy though. I mean, I was impressed of Willem Dafoe's performance. He pulled it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this was the moment right there, and with Green Goblin stepping in. So yeah. All right, but continuing. So again, Aunt May getting injured from the glider. Green Goblin throwing and setting off one of his bombs, and Parker and Aunt May they survive through it, and this one moment, just Aunt May advising and encouraging Parker, and with a couple of familiar words that was said in the first installment of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, with great power comes great responsibility. Those words being said by Aunt May, and how she said it, with great power, there also must come great responsibility. However she said it, and it seems like she's all right, but because of the injuries to the glider, that did a number on her. Well, she collapses, and I mean, I don't think some of us probably didn't see it coming. Because unfortunately, Aunt May, she sadly dies, and right after that, because Peter, by this point, he's completely lost, and even a moment, because when Happy did show up, he actually was gun pointed, because I think some of the police force were there, and Happy being placed under arrest, and afterwards, because Peter running away, and because of shit just happened, basically. And we then come to MJ and Ned, and they're at, because at Ned's Lola's house. Yeah, Ned's Lola, being played by Mary Rivera. And, because Ned, he actually does have the ring, I want to say. Yeah, like one of those rings that, Doctor Strange and the sorcerers, they have, and Ned having that. And I think, because if I remember correctly, like, Peter lent that. Yeah, he lent that to Ned, clearly. And, because they don't know where Peter is, and, because Ned has that, he can of course have the capability to open like a portal and such to any part of New York, like wherever Peter is, and, wishing that they could see Peter, and by doing so, opening it, and, is that their Peter? No, because even you can tell from a distance that is not that's not their Peter, because the first Peter that they see and they meet and coming through there is, of course, Peter Parker from the Amazing Spider-Man, the world of the Amazing Spider-Man of the first two films. We once again get Andrew Garfield. Yep, Andrew Garfield stepping in, and good to see him as Peter Parker / Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, as he's referred to. And not long after he shows up, Ned trying to open up another portal, and enter Tobey Maguire. Yep, and he's not in his spider suit, he's just in regular clothes. And so the two Spider-Men together on screen, and their first encounter is pretty funny. And I think even like Ned's Lola was kind of flirting with Maguire's Peter Parker, and even like according to both the two Spider-Men, both Peter Parkers, with them showing up, and they knew they were no longer in their worlds, and even like Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker being aware, and he had seen MJ and Ned, and he knows, of course, there is a Spider-Man in this world, and he's been trying to find them up until, because when Ned opened the portal and such, and so funny and good moments with the two Spider-Men interacting, as well as MJ and Ned. And we'll come to you, Elijah, because what are the first things you have to say? Because we first see the two Peter Parker / Spider-Men, Garfield and Maguire.
Oh my God, I don't know how to say this. I'm lost for words. It's just a huge deal.
It is a huge deal for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. No, it was a huge deal because, you see Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker / Spider-Man in the first two Amazing Spider-Man series. Yeah. And Tobey Maguire from the Sam Raimi films.
Yep.
Well, in regular clip, he's older now, and it's like and then I remember the moment that the audience was gone crazy.
I know.
I was like. And then I was there. I was like, "Oh my God!" When Tobey Maguire was back, I was like, "What?" and then Andrew Garfield, I was in shock. I was speechless. I was like, "Oh God!"
I mean, Andrew showed up on screen first, and then Maguire. So
right
in that order.
I mean, I'll let you talk. Go ahead.
I was just finishing my sentence. I was just pointing out because in that order, Garfield first showed up, and then Maguire.
And the thing is, that term is like it's a division of. The division of old meets the new, and that's like a strong division. It's a strong ass division. Yeah. And I've never seen anything like this before, which is crazy. Yeah. I was like, man.
And when you saw this in theaters, did the audience in the theater when you saw the film, did they go nuts when they appeared on screen?
That's a good question. They went crazy.
And in case you remember your experience, so.
Oh man, the experience with that scene, it was just intense and nuts and crazy, man. Yeah. Everybody was, oh my God, cheering and clapping. It's like, and they say yes, yes. Oh my God. Yeah. And they were happy.
Mm-hmm. My experience, because it's the truth. I'm not lying. I would never lie. My experience when seeing Spider-Man No Way Home, because actually most of the time when I saw those anticipated, excited films like this, and even the Star Wars sequel trilogy, when seeing those films, most of the time when the first time seeing those movies, I should say, the audience that were with me and any one of my parents, usually because it would be my dad and me seeing them first. Some of the audience that we sometimes had when seeing those movies, and nice to see because they didn't freak out or anything like that. Because I rarely have been in a movie theater, seen a movie where the audience would go nuts and they would applaud and such. I do recall because when my mom and we saw Endgame, the audience that was with us, well, they did applaud and cheered, but they didn't go crazy and wild, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I
So
know what you mean. I don't mean to cut you off again. I was gonna say the same thing. Endgame was like the same concept, when they bring back the characters of the final scene.
And even when I was just gonna say, even when Steve Rogers has the capability of holding one of Thor's hammers.
And then also there was before Tony Stark's death.
Yeah.
It was me and my mom and my sisters, and I remember that was my debut for a Marvel movie like this. Everybody gone nuts for that movie. Oh my God. Honest to God, I gotta tell you this, man, honest to God, man, people when every Marvel movie, when it came out, people gone berserk. People gone crazy.
Yeah.
Especially Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home.
And Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, that too.
I don't see, when I saw that movie too, I don't see enough credit for the second movie. There's no clapping and stuff like that. It's chilly,
Yeah.
My mom fall asleep on that movie.
Well, everybody, because with just a quick mention of Multiverse of Madness, the second Doctor Strange film, with the Illuminati team showing up, everybody just going nuts over that, who appears. But,
oh my god, I'm sorry to cut you off. No, I'm wrong. It was John Krasinski was one of the Fantastic Four.
Yep,
everyone was clapping.
That's it. Yep. Even Patrick Stewart as well, Captain Carter and so on. But yeah. So coming back to what I was saying, because again, there were rare times where I would be in a movie theater with audiences who would go a little bit nuts, but not really. They just do a calm standing ovation, applauding and such. Because that moment in Endgame where Captain America, he finally gains the power in holding one of Thor's hammers. But there was one time where, with The Force Awakens, when I saw that with my dad, there were a couple of people in that theater who, well, clearly, they had not seen it. And there were a few times they did go nuts. It was just a small group of people, so, to clarify.
I'm not gonna lie, that movie, the Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens is one of my favorite sequels ever.
Your favorite in the sequel trilogy?
Yeah, I like the original movies. I would say my favorite one, I would have to say, oh my god, The Return of the Jedi and the Empire Strikes Back is my favorites ever.
And nothing... No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
And then I think all of the original movies, from the 70s and the 80s, are my favorites. Because I grew up watching them with my mom. My mom had a videotape. She brought it from work and she gave it to me. There's nothing to watch on TV. I was I would watch Star Wars movies. And I watched that movie 3 days, 2 weeks and 3 days. And I got bored.
And nothing on the prequel trilogy?
No, I didn't watch the I think I watched the prequel trilogy, The Force Awakens. It was on Stars at the time, 2016. Yeah, I watched that for the first time.
Okay. Well, coming back to the movie, because again, the two Peter Parker / Spider-Man showing up, and one more thing, because with them appearing on screen, because the audience going crazy over their appearance and such, because this was the triumphant return of these two actors, playing these two versions of Peter Parker / Spider-Man. But Yeah, so continuing on, because them trying to figure out where the other Peter would be, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, that is. Well, and I think, yeah, because Maguire and Garfield, they're two Parker slash Spider-Man, they figure out, well, because obviously, and for each of them, going to one part of the city to get away from their troubles and so on, and, well, because they find where Peter is, and yeah, because MJ and Ned comforting and, Peter, nice to see, of course, his, Peter's best friend, of course, and his girlfriend, yeah, and then the two Peters stepping in and them trying to explain they know what he's going through, and well, Peter, by this point, he's had enough. Like, he feels that, he's done what he's done. He's gonna send them all back, and he doesn't care by this, at this point, that if they die or anything like that, that goes for the villains. And MJ, like, she's not gonna have Peter take the magic spell box. She wants him to hear them out, and thus, yeah, from Maguire's Parker to Garfield's Parker. And this was a great moment right here, because, just in that sequence, like, again, because with what Tom Holland's Parker went through, because the same goes for the other two, because Maguire's Parker telling Tom Holland's Parker, about when he lost Uncle Ben, and he says that it was his fault, and Garfield's Parker saying that, he lost Gwen, which, nice that he describes to Parker, she was his MJ, yeah, and what happened afterwards, like, what happened with them after they lost the two most important people in their lives, Maguire's Parker, to him, Uncle Ben, Garfield's Parker, to him, Gwen, and, like, Maguire explaining that, he thought that hunting down the man he thought killed his uncle would make everything better by killing him and such. He did get what he wanted, but it didn't make anything better. And for Garfield's Parker, after the loss of Gwen, he became bitter and so on, and even telling Tom Holland's Parker not, he doesn't want him to become what he was like. And they know what it feels like. They know what he's been through, and with the loss of his Aunt May, and even Parker, Tom Holland's Parker, bringing up that, what Aunt May said, with great power, and you see the look in Maguire's face, because that's the same thing that his uncle told him. Even Garfield's Uncle Ben did the same thing. In a different way. Heck, even Nostalgia Critic, how he brought it up, yeah. Because I almost forgot about that, because, yeah, in the Amazing Spider-Man films, because in the first one, when Uncle Ben was, of course, alive, he did bring up those words, great power, great responsibility, and so on. But a little bit differently, but still. And even, the two Peter Parker / Spider-Man telling the other one that maybe Aunt May didn't die for nothing, and which they have a point. And, I will say, because what Maguire said about, saying that it was his fault, well, both him and Garfield, saying that they blamed themselves, well, it really wasn't their fault, each of them, when they lost, Uncle Ben and Gwen, not intentionally, okay? Because we knew exactly what happened when those events happened, when Uncle Ben got killed, Gwen too, and Aunt May. So, yeah, that sequence right there, like, with what the two Parkers tell, the other Parker, fantastic, and really great performances from all of them. Do you have anything to say on that, Elijah? We'll come to you. Anything on that sequence?
It is pretty sad, though.
It is.
Like you mentioned. And that line, great power with great responsibility, that's a famous line.
Absolutely.
It is famous, very, very famous, and it's like a motivation. Say a kid want to be a scientist, you have great, and in their head, it's like you have great power, great responsibility.
Yes.
To be a scientist, to be an inventor,
Yep.
It's a dream, and being a superhero is a lot of responsibility in that scenario. It can be consequential.
And there's also, and I was just going to say, there can also be risks.
Yeah, it is. You're right. it could be it's a consequence.
Yes.
You have a consequence that are good and bad. There are consequences that are beyond fatal, 100% fatal. And then another thing, they have identities as a superhero, you know?
Yep.
And being Spider-Man is like, oh, I gotta take care of the bad guy, the villains and the bad guys in the streets, and you know, from destroying the New York City or Manhattan in general.
Uh-huh.
And it's a risky business. It's a risky situation. And when I grew up watching Spider-Man. When I learned a lot from Spider-Man, it's like don't give up, and sometimes you have to take risk. But you know, I thought I never watched Andrew Garfield movies, and I watched a few Tobey Maguire movies though. I mean, so Seabiscuit was really good, and I was impressed of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I never seen a movie and I never seen them in this movie together. This is the first time seeing them on screen, but they did a great job. I buy that.
Absolutely. And that's a good place to end it right there, because continuing on the film, because, well, with all three of them together, well, and like you mentioned, like scientists and such, well, because, that all three of them are scientists, and them trying to figure out, what to do, and also, like, because of the cure and so on, and until they have to come face to face with, the villains, those who have not been cured. And some funny moments and such, and actually, like, I want to say, like, maybe one or two awkward moments, especially because when one big one, Ned asks Maguire's Parker, about if he has a best friend, and which, God, I mean, how would Ned have known? Of course, because Maguire's Parker explaining to Ned that, yeah, he did have a best friend, used to, but tragically died and such. Yeah, a little bit awkward, but hey, again, Ned didn't know, so, and of course Maguire's Parker would have known that. More interactions between the three Parkers, and also with MJ and Ned, because then they're in the science lab at the school, and even when Ned calls out Peter's name, and all three of them saying yes, and obviously he's referring to his Peter, the Peter that he knows, and also, like, them doing some of their web shootings, like, most notably Maguire's, like, it's coming out of his wrist and such, and and they are, it is brought up, like, where the heck is Parker's Spider-Man suit? Well, it's under his clothes, yeah, because he had it all, he was wearing it the whole time, underneath, regular clothes, and, and so, eventually, and to speed things up, because, they figure it out, and with what they're planning to do, and when they come face to face with the villains, and we then, of course, come up to the Statue of Liberty, and apparently, because with this, and I think also because I think this being in Miss Marvel, something else in the MCU with this, because the Statue of Liberty is having a makeover. Now it's carrying and holding the Captain America shield. Okay, that's interesting. Even, like, at one point, because, like, Parker sent out, like, a message to Jameson and the Daily Bugle, like, all of New York to hear him out on what he's going to do and to stop, the forces of evil that are roaming around New York. And with that, and things get really good still with the interactions between all three Parkers, like, one that comes to my head first is Maguire's Parker, like, having trouble with his back, and Garfield's Parker helping out Maguire's, to make his back feel better and such. And then they start talking about the villains they faced off against, like Maguire's Parker saying that he fought, an alien goo. Of course, he's referring to Venom. And Tom Holland's Parker / Spider-Man saying that, he had actually been up into space and fought, like, a purple alien, and Garfield's Parker / Spider-Man kind kind of being left out, you know, because he really hadn't faced anything like what they faced, like anything from space. Because, yeah, Venom did come from space, which, of course, being established in the third installment of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, because Venom coming from space. And even a mentioning of Garfield's Parker mentioning that, well, he fought a Russian guy in a mechanical rhino suit. Hey, nice to mention that. You know, Paul Giamatti, his portrayal of the rhino in that. And even Maguire's Parker, you know, assures Garfield's Parker that, you know, you are amazing, and so on. So I love that sequence, just their further interactions. And fun fact, this is true. One shot with Garfield's Parker apparently was leaked out a couple of months before the film came out. Not to mention, there were a couple of leaked photos, on-set photos, of all three of them on set, and I knew there was no way that those pictures were fake. That one quick second piece of footage of Garfield supposedly on the set of No Way Home, which turned out to be true, that was all real. I knew, and maybe some of you knew that too. If any of you did, but yeah. Okay, so we'll come to you, Elijah. Anything that you have to say on that sequence with all three of them interacting on, you know, the construction side of the Statue of Liberty and so on?
I thought it was a cool idea, you know, talking to each other like in the same universe, in the same multiverse.
Yeah,
it's a huge risk, and
it is.
It's like, why risk it? You're talking
why
to
risk
each
it?
other. You're talking to each other, and it's like, why risk? Why just risk it? Why risk it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought, you know, it's cool to watch them on screen, talking, communicating with each other about the villains. And I was laughing and they saying about Avengers. I was like, is that a rock band or something? I was cracking up a little bit.
What is that? As Maguire asks.
Oh my god! I mean, I'm proud of that moment. But I feel like one day this movie will be history in Sony's history.
I think probably, yeah. It feels like it is probably by now, if not. But, okay, continuing on with the film, and yeah, because now we come up to the big fight sequence, the big battle that we've been waiting for, and with all three Spider-Mans together, taking on the last remaining villains who have not been cured, especially because, like, a little bit of footage that was shown in one of the trailers where it's just Tom Holland's Parker, but you also have the three villains, and I think it was obvious that, well, there's no way he's going to fight all three of them, clearly, and the possibility of the two Spider-Mans being there, and of course, yeah, which turned out to be true. Them taking on all three villains, Electro, the Lizard, and Sandman, and nice to see, because, of course, Garfield's Spider-Man interacting with, you know, the villains that he fought, you know, from the Lizard to Electro, and, you know, and also, you know, Maguire, him interacting with Sandman, and they're trying to convince them that, you know, they're trying to cure them and help them, but they're still just they're fighting them and so on. Even like there was a moment where, yeah, Maguire's Spider-Man took on the Lizard a little bit, and for Ned and MJ, poor MJ and Ned, because them back at the school, and they can see what's going on over there because of the open portal, because of, you know, the ring that Ned has, and yeah, because so much is happening, and, you know, I'll go ahead and say it, because, you know, Ned trying to close it, but the Lizard going in there, like, going chasing them through the school science lab and such, and to speed things up some more, because, yeah, really cool shots of all three Spider-Men swinging and, you know, posing. And like you mentioned, Elijah, because the three Spider-Men, they're trying to figure out what to do next and, well, you know, work together. And even Tom Holland's Parker mentioning about the Avengers, and Maguire's Parker saying, the Avengers! And, you know, what is that? That's funny. And
yeah, I'm going to cut you off again. I want to add
Go ahead.
And then another thing, man.
Go ahead.
The three poses, man. It's like,
yes.
I remember everybody went crazy
because that's a moment right there, an epic shot, you know.
that is the craziest thing I ever seen him on the screen, man.
Absolutely.
I remember in the theater. I gotta speed this up. Everybody went nuts.
Yes.
Everybody went nuts. They're clapping and cheering. Oh my god.
Oh, clearly.
Especially at the end of the movie. Especially.
Yes. Okay. And so yeah, eventually, so yeah, they do get the cures into them. Maguire's Spider-Man, like, curing Sandman, unleashing the cure and such, and yeah, Tom Holland's Spider-Man giving the cure to the Lizard, and for Electro, well, because they're having trouble with Electro up until Doc Ock shows up again, and, you know, he's got this. You know, his tentacles can take the electric power from Electro by grabbing a hold of Electro, getting the cure, and, you know, putting it in Electro, and thus all three are cured. And with Sandman and the Lizard, it's really cool what they did, because they took archival footage of Thomas Hayden Church and Rice Effens footage that, you know, that was taken from the two Spider-Man films that they did, incorporating it in this to actually see them on screen in their human forms. Nice to see. And it worked. It totally worked. Good thing, too. And it's nice to see, because interactions between them and how, well, they are cured, and a moment between Electro, his actual name, I lost it. Hold on a second.
It was Max Dillon, right?
Thank you, Max Dillon. Yeah. Why can I not see? I've lost him. Well, anyways, yeah. Thank you, Max Dillon. Okay, there he is. How did I miss him? Yeah, Max Dillon, because a little interaction between Max Dillon and Garfield's Spider-Man, of course, and how Garfield's Spider-Man is assuring Max that, you know, he's a good person and stuff like that. And Max mentioning to Garfield's Parker, wishing and thinking that he'd be a black Spider-Man or something like that. And a little mention if there is a black Spider-Man somewhere. Clearly a mentioning of Milo? Yeah, Milo from the Spider-Verse films.
You mean Miles Morales?
Yeah, from the Spider-Verse films. A little mentioning of that from Max Dillon, yeah. And of course,
I was gonna say, I thought the scene where I thought Jamie Foxx's character with all that yellow electricity, I thought to myself, he looked like Yu-Gi-Oh or something like that.
Well, his appearance and with the yellow electric, well, that is taken from the comics, somewhere in the comics with Electro. So
I thought he was gonna fight somebody in Dragon Ball Z, but it looked badass though.
He did, absolutely.
I give a lot of credit to Jamie Foxx, and he nailed this role.
Absolutely. And then a little interaction between Octavius and Maguire's Parker, and, you know, very nice and touching, because Octavius, you know, saying to him, you know, you've grown up, and, you know, how have you been? Been trying to do better, as best said by Maguire's Parker. And then Doctor Strange steps in after quite a while, being stuck, I think. He said that he was stuck in the Grand Canyon for, I think, 7 hours? Like, it's been quite a while since he's been, you know, stranded there after, you know, Peter, you know, webbed him and such. But yeah, he broke free, and was kind of surprised, not really, just to, you know, that Ned opened that portal where he was at and so on, and just, you know, you did that, and so on. And Doctor Strange about to confront Peter, and he is a bit surprised to see that there are two more Peters, and Peter assuring to Doctor Strange that, you know, he found a way, all three of them, that is, they found a way to cure the villains and so on. And even though, yeah, that's nice to see, but still, he's got to send them back. But before he can do that, well, Green Goblin showing up, of course. He's the last one, and the last villain that has not been cured. And it's, you know what? That's very fitting, that he being the last villain that they have to, you know, face off against. And, well, the one that started it all with the live-action Spider-Man films. Who better to be the last than, of course, Green Goblin? And, Green Goblin just messing things up. He threw a bomb inside of the spell box, which made things worse when it exploded. And, Tom Holland's Peter Parker once again fighting off against Green Goblin, especially after the death of his aunt, and how, well, at first Peter wants to kill Green Goblin, but he should know that he shouldn't kill him. He's just blinded with anger and so on. And so a little fighting between them, and it was really cool because Green Goblin igniting like a blade and such, and I love that whistle he gives after he ignites it, like, that was so good. Like, from Willem Dafoe himself, I tell you. And using that blade, trying to attack Peter, and the other two Peters stepping in, and, well, Maguire's Parker, rightfully so, going up there and to stop Tom Holland's Spider-Man from killing him, because Holland's Spider-Man has the glider in his hands and was about to strike at Green Goblin, but Maguire's Parker stopping him, and to mention the nostalgia critic again, what he said at that moment where Maguire's Parker stops Holland's Parker from trying to kill Green Goblin, that was good because you can tell because with the facial expressions, the look in their eyes, and like, with no words, you can tell exactly what's going on, and that is so good, because Maguire's Parker just, looking into Holland's Parker's eyes that, not to do this and so on. Best said by Nostalgia Critic. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And out of nowhere, because Green Goblin's stabbing at Maguire's Parker, and, well, it's a good thing that he does survive that, and I don't think it was really that bad of a stab, even like what Maguire's Parker said when Garfield's Parker attended to him. And, well, what happens next is I think it is Garfield's Parker throwing the cure at Holland's Parker and injecting it into Green Goblin, and thus Green Goblin being the last villain to be cured, and, well, Green Goblin being no more, and it's back to good old Osborn. And I can't forget to mention this, because right before that, because when Green Goblin stepped in and, with his glider, it caused, and with the explosion of the bomb, one of Green Goblin's bombs, caused MJ to fall, even when, like, Tom Holland's Parker was trying to, save MJ, but the glider got in the way, and Andrew Garfield's Parker, what he does, saving MJ, and that was the moment right there where everything was better for him now. He did finally save someone, because the whole thing with Gwen, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And we'll come to you, Elijah, because what do you have to say now with that and everything else I've just said?
Everything just crazy, and it's just intense. It's very neurotic.
Yes.
I don't know how. I feel like Green Goblin is very psychologically neurotic and terrifying and scared the shit out of you. Period. And I thought to myself, he's been acting this way since ever throughout his life. I mean, and then,
well, and again, like I've been saying, Green Goblin possessing Osborn. So
yeah, exactly. And I thought Zendaya did a good job as Mary Jane.
And I was just gonna say, I don't think her name is really Mary Jane. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, she's just called MJ. That's all. So
I thought it was, but I thought I'm mentioning Kirsten Dunst's character from the Raimi movies.
Yeah.
But funny thing, she's not in this movie, but yeah, I give Zendaya a lot of credit. She did a good job.
And that's that's the thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but that's interesting that you brought that up. Kirsten Dunst not being in this, because I did read where according to Kirsten Dunst, this came from her. If she were asked to appear, if she had been asked to best put at it, if she had been asked to return and appear in No Way Home, she would have done it. She would have gladly done it. But, I think if they wanted to, but at the same time, I think No Way Home, it worked fine with not having her in it. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have not wanted to see her. I would have, again, if they considered bringing her in, if they would have found a way to incorporate her in the story. But with how the film turned out without Kristen Dunst returning as Mary Jane, it worked all right. And I get even the same goes if they had considered, however they would have found a way to do so, incorporating her too, Emma Stone as Gwen. But yeah, and what did you think on that? Because when it was at that moment where Garfield's Parker was, I guess you could say, redeemed, but because when he saved MJ,
it's like a flashback,
Yes,
it's like a redemption.
Yes, there you go. Exactly. Even I was having flashbacks when watching the movie, watching No Way Home. The same went for you. The same goes for you too.
I never watched it, but I think I've seen clips of it.
Oh, okay, okay.
I see. I mean, well, I remember a scene where I watched a clip that she in the second movie. Well, she Emma Stone's character died.
Yeah.
And people were talking about it like, how the hell has she died?
Well,
I don't know why the heck she died.
Well, it was kind of a hard hit, so on the ground.
That's kind of strange and brutal. That was a weird death, I would describe.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, but Emma Stone did a good job, though.
She did. Absolutely. Okay, but continuing on, because, again, all villains are now cured, and especially the last one, Green Goblin. No more Green Goblin, it's, all Osborn officially. And by this point, the spell, and because of what Green Goblin did of the bomb, making things worse, and how there are other figures from different universes stepping in, and it's Doctor Strange saying it's because of they're all coming in because of Parker, and well, the only way to fix everything is to do as Doctor Strange was originally intending to do. Erasing everybody's memories of knowing Parker, that he's Spider-Man, and so on, all together. And sad moment, because, well, he does, of course, say goodbye to the other two Parker/Spider-Men, a group hug, all three of them. And, well, he has to say his goodbyes to Ned and MJ. It really is sad that they, too, are going to forget who he is, and that he's Spider-Man, and so on. Even, it's even, okay, yeah, them not knowing that he's Spider-Man is understandable, but not knowing who he is at all? Golly. And, well, of course, one last kiss from MJ and Parker, rightfully so, and even Parker saying his goodbyes to Doctor Strange, and thus Doctor Strange does his magic and work, his powers. Everybody from the two Spider-Men, the villains, no longer villains, they vanish, they go back to where they were, and good thing, because, of course, now that they're cured, they have a chance to live, and so on. And of course, Parker, he swings away, and then what happens next? Well, we see that Parker is visiting his aunt's grave, and Happy's showing up, and, well, Happy as well, not knowing who Peter is. Everybody that Peter has known, not knowing who he is. And Happy asking how he knew about May, and how Peter told him, And at one point, Peter went to the cafe where MJ, again, worked part-time there, and Ned being there, he was gonna introduce himself to them, even, wrote a note to MJ, but he just couldn't find the grip to do so, and decided to just, not do it. And, it's really a shame, it really is. And, I mean, he still, of course, interacted with them, but didn't really introduce himself to them and such, wanting them to know him. And what happens next for Parker, the epilogue and such, because, well, he now is on his own, living in an apartment, and he actually has a sewing kit, and he made his own Spider-Man suit, and just like in the first Spider-Man film, Homecoming, because both him and Ned, they were building the Lego Death Star, and Parker had one piece from that, the Lego minifigure of Palpatine. That's all he had, and we get a glimpse of that, the Palpatine Lego figure. And by putting on his Spider-Man suit, and it's wintertime, him swinging out of New York, looking for if there's any trouble out there, and really cool last shots of Parker in his new Spider-Man suit, bright red and blue, and which I think clearly, because really resembles how it is in the comics, I'm pretty sure. And that close-up shot of him, and boom, the credits roll. And it's really cool how the credits are done, and especially when we see all the actors playing the villains, and up to Maguire and Garfield. That's really cool. And before we get to the end credits scene, there's actually two, but technically the last one, it's like a teaser. But we'll come to you, Elijah. Like, what do you have to say so far with what I've said about the ending, epilogue and such?
I mean, the end of the movie was kind of like you see Spider-Man in action. It's like the same concept as I don't know how to say this, but like, I think one of the movies, it's like it's Christmas time. Actually, it's like snowing.
Yes.
And then the end of the movie, bam! And I remember seeing Tobey Maguire's face. I remember seeing
Garfield's face too.
Spider-Man. It's like iconic, very iconic.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so that's all you have to say on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's last two things that happen, like mid-credits and end credits, because you wonder, like, was there someone else that was supposed to appear? Because he technically, I think, was announced, but he was not there, nor did he interact with Parker. Venom, because Venom, because Venom, once again being played by Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy making an appearance in this, and, because, Tom... Where is he in the IMDb page?
He's in Hawaii. I remember.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because like at the end of Venom 2, because apparently, he got sent into the MCU world, and seeing Spider-Man on the news, the Daily Bugle and such, and Tom Hardy once again playing Eddie Brock. That's the actual name in / Venom, and of course voicing Venom. So they're trying to figure out where they were, and this Spider-Man guy, Peter Parker, and a mentioning of Thanos and such, what happened, with the blip and such, Thanos' presence, and they're at this like tiki bar, I want to say, and because and then what happens next is they're sent back to where they were, and Venom even saying, no, we just got here! And once they're sent back, we do see on the table, the bar counter and such, a little bit of what came from Venom is there. And, obviously a tease of the possibility, of course, of Peter taking on a little bit of Venom. So, that was great. Like, what did you think on that mid-credit scene?
It's alright, but I never watched the Venom movies, but I'm not a big fan. But I know everybody loves Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
From the get-go, because I know him from the Dark Knight Rises movie,
and
Star Trek movie,
Star Trek Nemesis. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised that he was in the Venom movies and the Sony Venom movies. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it was a nice touch, for the fans, and I respect the Marvel and Sony fans. Well, I'm a Sony fan, basically, and I gotta respect that.
Absolutely. Even though Tom Hardy, him as Eddie Brock / Venom, they didn't have a huge role, they didn't join with the other villains, even if I don't think there was any reasoning for them to do so, because technically, Venom being an anti-hero, and no interactions between him, both Eddie and Venom with Peter and so on. Their appearance and in the mid-credit scene, it worked pretty good, and because, and especially because a follow-up to the mid-credit scene in Venom 2. But with that, the end credits scene, because this is something just like what happened in Captain America: The First Avenger, where it was a teaser, because we get a bit of a teaser of what was to come next, and with Doctor Strange, that being, of course, his second movie, Multiverse of Madness, getting an appearance of Wanda, Elizabeth Olsen, and what to so far expect in Multiverse of Madness, a pretty good teaser, and seeing as how, because technically, kind of a follow-up to No Way Home, I guess. Not really, but still, because it's at the end of No Way Home, the teaser for Multiverse of Madness. Okay, so, but what'd you think on that? Because you did you were aware that was coming at the end of the film.
I didn't stay for the last credits and stuff like that. I had to leave I had to go get something after the movie. So basically, it was like around Christmas, before Christmas. I saw the trailer of Doctor Strange 2, and I was interested in seeing it.
Uh-huh.
And then I saw the movie. No spoilers, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Pretty all right. I buy that.
Pretty all right. Yeah, I couldn't. That sounds about right. Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So again, like that teaser at the end of No Way Home for Multiverse of Madness, pretty good. Pretty good. And again, you know, good example because of what Captain America: The First Avenger did, having a little teaser of the first Avengers film. So there you go. Spider-Man No Way Home. What a great Spider-Man film this is, and how much both me and Elijah have said about this movie. I think it was worth it because it's a great Spider-Man film with what goes on, the story, and with the characters and where they're at in this film. Returning characters from the villains, the two Spider-Men, Maguire and Garfield, the funny moments, the emotional moments, oh, for sure, the emotional moments, the action and the music, just everything about No Way Home was fantastic. And what are your final words and thoughts to say on No Way Home?
My God, it was just intense, fun, funny moments, but
yeah,
incredible.
And the emotional moments too, as I said.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. But it was a fun movie to watch. You know, like that nostalgia factor, that build up, and it's like amazing. I was impressed. I was pleased about it.
And how they brought back, you know, from the villains and the first two on-screen Spider-Men. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best Columbia Pictures movies and Marvel movies ever in history.
Absolutely. And if not, one of the top best Spider-Man films in, you know, the Spider-Man film industry, without a doubt.
It's speaking of Spider-Man, all the movies they bring it back to the big screen in theaters since Columbia Pictures celebrates its 100 years. Mm-hmm. So that's why they're bringing it back.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, because they bringing them back to the big screen. But anyways, so, yeah, how we rate No Way Home. We'll start with you. How do you rate it?
I would say 5 stars, 10 out of 10, 2 thumbs way up.
Yeah, and for me, well, I'm obviously giving it 10 out of 10 stars. Yes, for me, 10 out of 10 stars for Spider-Man No Way Home. And again, for Elijah, 5 stars, 10 out of 10, 2 thumbs up, way up. Yep. Same goes for me, too. Even my dad, because I have no doubt that, because for my dad, he would give it 5 stars, because that's his star count. So for me, it's 10 out of 10, like 10 stars, whatever. But yeah, so again, that's how me and Elijah rate it. So what about you guys? What did you think of No Way Home itself? Like, did any of you get to experience it in theaters? I have no doubt that some of you did. Did you get moved by what was in the movie? Like, you know, from the funny moments, the emotional moments, getting so excited to see whom came back for this, from the villains, Maguire, Garfield, which was your favorite moment, just everything that was in the movie and what me and Elijah have had to say about the film. And what did you think of me and Elijah's review of No Way Home? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And any last words to say?
Yeah, I recommend seeing Spider-Man No Way Home, man. It's one of the best movies ever since 2021.
Yep.
It's worth it. It's worth watching.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and I couldn't agree more, because, because I agree with what Elijah says. Yeah, definitely recommend to give it a watch. I mean, any of you that, well, I'm pretty sure all of you, of course, would have seen it by now. And, you know, giving it a rewatch from time to time and so on. Yeah. And so, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed me and Elijah's review of Spider-Man No Way Home. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and we'll see you guys in the next video / review. And say goodbye.
Well, stay safe and keep watching our reviews together.
Yep.
We'll continue to do more as our collaboration.
Absolutely. Yep, because expect more review collabs, with me and Elijah down the road. And yep, it was good to have you for this one, Elijah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man.
Yep, and until the next review collab, take care, guys. Peace out. And hey, with great power comes great responsibility.